ZeroEmpires. How about that? All right, so let's get game number 1 underway. Your body is HD ready, bend over. Well, I am more than ready as well. All right, so that's an instant replay. That's not supposed to be there. We'll just disable that. All right, that was from the weekend. How did that get there all of a sudden? But let's go. All right, guys, hello and welcome to Midweek Madness. This week we have a best of... It's not a best of 5. I don't know why I keep saying that. It is a 5-game series between TaToH and BacT, two players that have performed very well in last week's elimination draft, and two players that I think can give us a great set of matches tonight. So we're going to introduce the things here and then sort of talk about what this series is going to entail. To the north of the map, we have BacT in the red, and he's playing as the Huns. And across the hamburger from him, we have TaToH playing as the Huns in the blue, because this is a random mirror matchup for game number 1 in this series. This is hamburger, as you can see by the map. Doesn't it just look so tasty? Juicy hamburger, hence why you have the water around the edge. It's not water, it's meat juice, and the fish love it. That's why they're so full of food, full of steak, in fact, you will find, if you look closely at the UI. So, this map is a lot of fun, and it's a map that was played or introduced quite some time ago. I think it was 2011 or around that, 2010, maybe even 2009. I don't know. Man, the history of Age of Empires spans nearly 20 years, and I'm not a historian, but this map's been around for some time, but it's a fairly edgy map, if I may say so myself. It's got a few interesting features. Most notably, the only wood that is accessible to these players is this little patch of wood in the center of the map. This is the patty, I suppose you could call it, the beefy patty here in the center. And if you want to get wood aside from this, you have to go out to the edge of the map. But of course, that is, sort of you're prevented from getting out there by this ring of meat juice, as we said. So you have to be a little cautious of getting wood in the center. You also have pretty low berries, so long-term food income isn't going to be there on the berries, I guess. But you got a decent deer patch, and you got a couple of boar next to your TC, which is nice for both players. Generally, the starts are pretty good on this map. You've also got decent fish, as we said already, in the meat juices here, and it's not going to be a surprise to see players docking in this ring of water. Also, small little features to note. Obviously, both players do start with 2 gold piles, 2 stone piles. BacT has evolved his gold pile into a mega gold pile by fusing them together here to the right of his TC, but he does have 2 all the same, and that's it on the sort of starting island. I guess you could call it an island. I suppose it's an island. Then at the edge of the map, you've got a bunch of gold and stone sort of spread around. You've got the relics out here as well, and you've got all these little patches of bamboo trees as well. One final thing to note, we've seen it already here, TaToH palisade walling this up. You can actually go around the edge of this little forest, just because you can't completely block up the shoreline to the forest, and so players have to build a little palisade there. If we look at the fog of war, you can see BacT has scouted this quite nicely, and he's just come around the backside here, given TaToH a cheeky look, and head back round to his side, because he wants to know where that lumber camp is for TaToH, because when he gets to the feudal age, he's probably going to want to put a tower on this wood line to prevent his opponent from gathering wood. If you dominate the wood line in the center, then you force your opponent to move out to the edge a lot sooner, and that's generally a good way to go. So he knows where that lumber camp is. TaToH also knows where the lumber camp of BacT is as well. Ahoy there, Ivan909. It's great to see so many subs in the chat as well. You guys always tuning in. That's dedication right there, and I love it. So thank you guys. Thank you very much. So yeah, the players will generally wall this up. Sometimes you see players going for a little sneak through here. It's not something that happens all too often, but can happen and can screw an opponent up if they are caught with their pants down. As there's quite a lot of empty space for your enemy to build if they were to sneak. But I don't think we're going to see a sneak here, as both players move their scouts to the left side. And that means that they'll spot any units going through. TaToH was going to try and go through, but cheeky TaToH gets shut down by BacT and his his scout there getting the first shot. So what's going on so far? Population-wise, 23 for TaToH, BacT on 23 as well, which means that both players have a dock, and both players have 2 fishing ships, taking the fish very close to their dock. And BacT here seems to have a tiny advantage in terms of fishing ships. He's got his 3rd ship out, a little faster than TaToH. Both players starting to move more and more villagers over to wood right now. BacT clicking up to the feudal age, and TaToH as well. TaToH on 22, 23, 24, 25% as BacT is on 22. So TaToH has a slightly faster feudal time. I'm not sure if he had 1 less villager on wood compared to BacT, hence a little bit of extra food, or if it's just a minor difference. But yeah, both players here moving quite a few more vills out to the wood, so that when they get to the feudal age, they can start building some boats. Now, it depends really on what kind of strat you want to go for. Typically, players will build a couple of boats to try and take out their opponent's fish, which is generally a good idea. Now, TaToH here has actually only got 2 fish right now, and he didn't add any more. So that means that BacT spent a little bit more wood, and if he keeps these fish alive, he's going to get quite a good little food boost from that, these 2 extra fishing ship as well. Another thing to note is that both players seem to be moving over to stone. TaToH with 2 villagers on stone versus BacT with 6. So BacT seems to be going a little bit more heavy, or planning to go a little bit more heavy onto the towers. Note right now that BacT has enough to build 2 towers. TaToH only has enough for 1, and now he's got enough for the 2nd. But he's building his tower first because he was first to the feudal age, but only just. His first tower's coming up right at the opposite side of BacT's woodline, as expected. But BacT, cheeky BacT, he's already got his 2nd watchtower coming up. Now, TaToH's split his wood already. BacT's only got 1 lumber camp. This means that TaToH's wood gatherers are going to be a lot more efficient, but if BacT is able to tower both wood lines up, that's going to mean that TaToH has effectively wasted another 100 wood here if he cannot gather from this lumber camp. For now, both players having to run away, get away from those towers. They mean no good, and you can see both players with 5 villagers in the towers right now. But right now, wood income dropping to 0 for both players. TaToH on the water, adding in a couple of fire galleys. He's going to go around top and bottom, and BacT straight in with the galleys here. And I'm not sure about that, because these fire galleys, as we know, are incredibly strong in the early feudal age. So right now, TaToH's going to be getting some good damage onto these galleys, and with a bit of micro, maybe BacT can bring them down, but they're pretty speedy. Probably because they have a lot more oars than the galleys do. Galleys relying on the wind alone, whilst the fire galleys have 6 oars on both sides. You're obviously going to be getting caught up if that's the case. So, BacT's still not gathering any wood. TaToH's still not gathering any wood, but TaToH has built a transport ship. Now, the transport ship obviously costing him 125 wood. That's going to delay his galley production. He also has run out of wood now, so he can't actually afford any more galleys. And actually, he's forced to chop the straggler trees, which is very inefficient. But he needs 100 wood so that he can build a lumber camp out at the edge of the map. On the water, TaToH's actually going to find a fishing ship from BacT, so much for keeping those alive. It does seem, though, like TaToH still only has 2 fishing ships of his own. BacT with his 2 galleys here could have actually got some pot shots in, but he didn't. He sailed straight past, and he will sail into the scout and the transport ship of TaToH here, so BacT knows that TaToH has moved out towards the edge of the map already. Now, on the water, we see BacT starting to add a couple more fire galleys of his own. It's 2v1 over here, so he should have no problem cleaning that up. He did lose 2 of his fishing ships, though, so they're completely even in that respect. And right now, 35 population for TaToH versus the 35 of BacT. They are very close at this stage of the game. But BacT is able to gather wood in the center of the map, and this is quite a big deal right now, although it's a little inefficient, as this tower will constantly fire pot shots at these villagers every time they get a bit too close and chop this tree. They will still... is he going to lose a villager here, actually? You know what? He might. This villager, he's going down. What a way to go. And that's certainly not going to be good for BacT. Oh, BacT is paying attention. Nice. He brings the villager back on 1 HP, saving his skin for today. But yeah, obviously, what the point I was trying to make before is that BacT hasn't built the transport ship yet. That means, or he has now actually, but he built it a lot later, which means that he might actually be getting the upper hand on the water. And that would certainly seem to be the case. 2 fire galleys here versus the 1 for TaToH as they sail straight past each other. Maybe BacT is going directly for the fishing ships here. It could be a good way to keep his lead on the water a little bit. But he's also leaving his own fishing ship quite exposed over this way. And I don't know why he's got his galleys so far out to the right. I guess it's so that he can spot any other ships from TaToH that might come and try and sink his transport. So BacT a little later out to the edge, but as a result, he does seem to have a small edge on the water. And TaToH here now, running away with his fish. As you do, as expected. And we got the galleys fighting against the fire galley again. That's probably going to end very badly for the galleys. The poor galleys. BacT right now does have enough wood for more boats, actually. I don't know why he's not queuing any, but I'm guessing... Well, I don't actually know what he just spent his wood on. He just had a bunch of wood, and now it's gone. Did he build another building? Maybe he built the lumber camp. I'm not sure. But yeah, he's moving more villas out to the edge here. And that's really important for that long-term wood income. He's also got a lot of wood in the center. In fact, BacT has a ton of wood right now. And he's actually doing the blacksmith, so that's where the wood went before. I realize I'm saying wood a little bit too much at the moment. I'll tone that down a little bit. So... yeah, the fire galleys for BacT looking good on the water, but he's not prevented TaToH getting a foothold at the edge of the map anyway. So right now, TaToH, although it's very good to have the water, does still have the safety of the wood lines at the edge of the map. We got a demo raft coming in from TaToH though. That could be nice if he gets it onto 2 boats instead of just 1. The key with the demolition raft is to hit as many boats as possible, and that's why you can see TaToH not going for the galley. His demolition raft was locked on, he had the galley in his sights, and then he veered away at the last second because he doesn't want to be blowing up his demolition raft to kill a 10 HP galley. The fire galley can clean that up, and he will do as well. So there you go. Pushing out now. BacT might just lose his last fishing ship by the looks of things. He seems a little bit careless with those. He could be gathering the fish up here to the north, but instead he's gathering it out to the west for some reason. I'm not sure why, but this is a pretty hectic map. There's a lot going on, and believe me, it is really difficult to keep track of all the action. So both players now, they're burning through their berries. Look at this, BacT as I say that. Finishing up his last berry bush, and both players seem to have a few idols, or did have a few idols. This is why both players are chopping wood so heavily, or they were chopping wood so heavily, because BacT and TaToH want to seed a lot of farms so they can get themselves to the castle age, because they have no water at the moment. In fact, right now, TaToH will get the edge on the water here. It does seem like BacT might have taken a demolition raft shot to both of his fire galleys and got cleaned up. So that could explain that. At the other side of the map, TaToH dropping out more vills. We got the same for BacT right here. And as I say, both players seeding a lot of farms. We've got 8 farmers for TaToH, and it looks like BacT is going to be on quite a few more than that. He's on 13, in fact. In fact, if we look at the resources, TaToH, look at all that gold. 700 gold for TaToH right now, and he's probably going to sell... Yeah, there you go. Gonna buy some food at the market and click up to the castle age. He's clicking up any second now, after wheelbarrow, in fact. And BacT, on the other hand... Oh, wow. Would you look at that? 93, 94, 95%. They're literally... within a second of each other, clicking up to the castle age and completing wheelbarrow. That is fantastic. TaToH here, 6, 7, 8%, and BacT is on 6% at the same time. So there's 2% between them on going up to the castle age. Now, BacT is really, really heavy on the gold here. Incredibly so. So like 10 bills on gold, whilst TaToH only has 5. So I think TaToH's eco might be a little bit better distributed here, as TaToH doesn't need many more villagers on gold here to keep making boats. But BacT coming in with another fire galley, and it looks like he might find the fish. But TaToH's paying attention. He's certainly no slacker, as he is running his fishing ships away. He's actually added a lot more. I did notice that, but he's up to 5 now, so he really wants to keep these guys alive. Of course, BacT is going to do what he can to bring them down, but TaToH in hot... See what I did there? Hot pursuit with his fire galleys. So, already at the edge of the map, we can see TaToH actually walling this up, and looking at this, we see BacT's dead scout here. He has scouted quite far around this this map, and he sees the 2 lumber camps, so he knows... If we look at BacT's point of view, yeah, he knows exactly where TaToH is. And that would explain why he's building an archery range down at the south of the map, along with his barracks here. And he's going to go for an attack on the wood line. Little does BacT know, TaToH's already walled this up. Already closing the gap. And it looks like he's going to do the same at the top as well, though he's only built 1 wall piece so far. Don't know where his villager got to, but he's moving over now. Now, TaToH up to the castle age. Looks like we're going to see a TC down here. I know he's going to do it on the gold. That makes much more sense. And just continuing to chop wood with a lot of lumber camps due to the fact that these forests are quite small. Meanwhile, we've got BacT with a very different strategy. BacT here, going to build the 2 ranges, going to cavalry archers, and also a siege workshop, which probably explains the need for 10 villagers on gold, because military production requires quite a bit of gold to pull that off. Obviously, compared to TaToH, who, on the other hand, is making a couple of fire galleys and then just booming up his eco a little bit. Now, TaToH here, interestingly, building a siege workshop because he's actually spotted the siege workshop of BacT with his scout cavalry. Oh, the value of having a scout cavalry. Look at BacT's line of sight. He doesn't see the scout cavalry in the fog of war here. He's right there, and he can see everything. So TaToH knows what's coming way before it's even arrived, and BacT meanwhile has only just found out that there's a stone wall right here. Meanwhile, the alarm bells are ringing all over the place. We've got BacT losing the water a little bit as TaToH adds in more fire ships and does the war galley upgrade. BacT at the moment does not have that war galley upgrade coming in, and as a result, well, those fire ships are going to dominate the water. That's what TaToH wants. TaToH really wants some very good water control at this stage of the game, just to lock down that ring. And the water control on this map is really valuable as the game goes late, because there's so much land that is accessible from the shoreline. Something that TaToH's got to keep in mind. So, or both players, in fact, have got to keep in mind. So, BacT here, going to get flattened by the mangonel. He's going to try and build a watchtower there on the wall, and he probably would have gotten away with it if TaToH didn't already scout this and have a mangonel prepared in defense. So a little dance of the mangonels now as both players attempt to snipe each other's mangonels, but neither wants to really commit towards the wall. In the center of the map, we've still got the towers firing at each other. And just trying to look at the resource distribution, a huge amount on gold still for BacT here. He's actually adding another TC on this gold as well, because I don't know what his scouting looks like, but yeah, he's actually scouted more of TaToH's side of the map than his own. So he actually doesn't know where the gold is. In fact, in BacT's line of sight, he sees no gold. At the edge of the map here, he sees no gold. There is actually a gold mine quite close to him on the right side, but he's going to build his TC here instead. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's probably a good idea to start building more villages out on the edge of the map, like TaToH here with his second TC, because you're going to want to get more access to wood, basically. And over time, you're going to need more villagers out on wood here. And if BacT can build the villages out in the edge instead of having to rely on transporting them, it becomes a lot less messy. Alright, so on the wall, we've got 2 mangonels up for TaToH here. BacT's coming in with a battering ram. That's not going to end well, is it? As mangonels do a very good job at dealing with battering rams. Case in point, battering ram dead, wall not dead. BacT here as well, getting a little caught out by the fire ship. But yeah, other areas of the map, we've got TaToH adding some cavalry archers of his own. It looks like they're actually going to meet in the north here. TaToH going to run headlong into BacT there. They both actually have got Bodkin Arrow completed. I guess that's value for the towers. and also value for the cavalry archers as well, and any war galleys that they might decide to make, but neither player has made a war galley yet. Now, it looks to me like TaToH actually has full water control right now. BacT is still adding in a couple of fire ships here or there, but overall, I mean, it looks like BacT has very, very firm water control. Though, as I say that, TaToH does lose a fire galley, but with the demolition ship right here, just got to use it. TaToH will win this fight. He'll focus down the weak fire ship first, and then he takes less damage overall. Just the logical, common sense way to take the fight there. Up at the north, the cavalry archers chasing each other down. BacT here, heavily outnumbered, so he's probably not going to be able to take that fight. He is, however, buying the time to wall up. And that's going to prevent these cavalry archers from TaToH doing too much damage. Now, what else is going on right here? Fire ship taking down cavalry archers. What is this? BacT, 120 HP, 7 pierce armor. That's just painful, man. 3 cavalry archers down to a single fire ship, and the fire ship can just sail it off. Doesn't even matter. 'Tis but a flesh wound, says the fire ship. And it really is. Cavalry archers are so ineffective. But TaToH also a little ineffective here, as he's unable to get through the gate, to say the least. BacT, 71 pop versus TaToH's 106. That's a whopper. And so you see what I did there, guys? Oh man, we're going into burger puns here as we go further into the hamburger match. At the south of the map, we've got the third TC from TaToH. And I didn't expect to see that when I glanced over here. He built that up very quickly. TaToH farming quite heavily, 20 farmers, BacT on just 7 farmers right now. So TaToH's economy definitely growing a little bit faster this game. But oh look, there's a castle from BacT. There's so much going on at once. I can't really keep an eye on it all at once here. But Sap Chicken knows why there's no viewers now, since I keep making terrible burger puns. But yeah, anyway, BacT with the castle drop will clean out the towers and regain access to the wood in the center. So maybe that was the plan all along. He needs a TC out here. But yeah, the third TC for BacT is clearly coming up a lot later than TaToH here for sure, as TaToH just seems to be continuing to mass more and more cavalry archers. Also, another mangonel shot. BacT cleared up down here, and he's still making cavalry archers and mangonels, but he's not really achieved anything. He's thrown a few things at the wall, killed a couple of vills, but he didn't really get anywhere over there, to be honest. Up in the north, TaToH actually forced away from the wall, but he started making war galleys. And as I said before, war galleys going to be really valuable this game, and water control valuable this game, because look how much damage you can do from the water. Even the fire ships have enough range to get onto the siege workshop here, and actually, well, it looks like it might go down, though BacT has got a mangonel to say something about that. But the siege workshops, it's a goner right there. It is a goner. Alright, so BacT definitely a lot lower on the military count right now. He's got 10 cavalry archers versus TaToH with 23. That's a 2-to-1 ratio nearly, as he goes up to the Imperial Age. Now, surprisingly, very surprisingly, because we noted before that BacT has a lot less farmers, BacT is actually the first up to the Imperial Age. Not by much, but he is on the way up. Now, in the fog here in the center of the map, TaToH building a castle, and that is going to be probably used to try and attack this castle of BacT, and if BacT is not expecting it, then it could be a little screwed. Now, obviously, there's just three, I guess, areas of focus, 3 segments on this map. You've got the outside of the map, which players often build a larger economy on, and often try and raid around the edge, which we see from both players with the cavalry archers. You have the water, which is an important element as well, since, as we said before, the water control allows you to do things like this, deny the wood, for example. And then you have the center, which where they started at. Now, BacT could go for an attack on the center and basically clear out this economy from TaToH. TaToH is absolutely defenseless over here. He's got a single castle, which he's just built. Now imagine if BacT was to just come rolling through. There's a single palisade stopping BacT getting through here and killing all these villagers. Maybe not quite all the villagers, but you know what I'm trying to say. He could consider doing that, and that might be why he added a couple more ranges in the center, right here and here. But the reason why players tend to focus on the outer ring more is because it's larger, and they have a lot more resources out there in the long run. So, you know, that's why we see TaToH here taking control. He's wearing the trousers. And doing a pretty good job of raiding BacT, to say the least. +2 defense, bloodlines, versus BacT, who has no +2 defense and no bloodlines. These cavalry archers are going to win that fight every day of the week. And TaToH there, even running away for some reason, probably because he's too close to the TC, but he's definitely got the stronger units on the map right now, as TaToH really starts to take control in this one. Now, BacT Imperial with a Treb coming out, and he's going to assume that there's something over here, I'm guessing. TaToH as well, obviously he's looking for a Treb, because he knows that the castle is here, and he's got the vision of that. But BacT, no vision whatsoever, he's just going out on a hunch, and there you go. He's actually got a way through on this south side. He's sending his cavalry archers through right now. TaToH, on the other hand, really starting to win the water and the outside. So he's got 2/3 of the puzzle. Whereas BacT might only just have 1/3 if he starts to kill TaToH in the center here. And that's not going to be good enough at this rate. TaToH really pulling ahead in score right now. And certainly looking quite good with a decent economy at the edge. He's also going to take a fight with BacT here on the outside once again, and BacT is just getting absolutely pummeled by these better upgrades on the cavalry archers. Now, here's something that I did not expect to see today. Tarkans. Oh yeah, TaToH with the Tarkans, and why not? From the barracks, from the stable even. That's not barracks, is it? That's the stable. Building Tarkans right now. It actually makes a lot of sense if you think about it. With 5 pierce armor, 120 HP. Tarkans are ideal for kiting, baiting, and killing cavalry archers, I guess, depending on how BacT decides to fight it. He's actually queuing a few Tarkans. Now, you might be wondering, well, how the hell are you able to make Tarkans from the stable? Quite simple, really. You just do the unique technology that was added in the Castle Age for the Huns. It's quite nice, and unlike the Hun's other unique technology, it's actually got some use, although rather limited. So anyway, the Treb War in the center of the map going down right now. It looks like BacT will have the edge there, and that's no surprise since it's 3 Trebs to 2. But BacT looks like he's about to lose one of his Trebs right now, and these Tarkans are going to be pretty good at bringing down trebuchets. Also now with 4+3 armor, very nice 7 there, means that these cavalry archers from BacT are actually doing quite a little damage. I am very surprised, however, that BacT has still not done the bloodlines upgrade. He doesn't have a stable, and that's actually costing him. Meanwhile, at the edge of the map, yeah, that's also costing him. Loss of water control is starting to pay dividends for TaToH right now. And, oh, well, in the south of the map, I missed that, because there's just too much happening all over the place. But it appears that TaToH might have lost his army, probably to a mangonel. Although saying that, BacT just finished Bloodlines, so he could have also had a good number of units, but probably the mangonel. Sorry for missing that one, guys. As you can tell, there is a lot happening all over the place, and TaToH here going to be taking down the 3rd Treb, potentially. BacT with a lot of repairs, but the final shot will come from the trebuchet, and TaToH here going to be running in with more Tarkans. It looks like BacT might just be losing his foothold on the center, and with that, it could all be crumbling away for him, because at the edge of the map, well, his TC is on fire. His cavalry archers are low in numbers and quite weak. But BacT might be staging a comeback on the water, to say the least here, as he actually has completed Galleon right now, and he's going to be looking to try and win that back. In fact, if he can win the water back, he might be able to really hurt TaToH's eco. But TaToH running all over BacT's farms here in the center of the map. This is not good. BacT's down to 110 population, while TaToH is at 161. That is a 50 population difference. Probably soon to be a 60 difference, because these Tarkans are raiding hard and fast. That is how TaToH likes it, with the Tarkans in here. 160 pop versus 107. And BacT doesn't even seem to be reacting to this. These villagers are toast. Look at this. And he's not even putting him in the TC. We're at 43 minutes and BacT. It looks like he's still yet to win a game past the 40-minute mark in the any escape AoE events, as BacT calls the GG. And you see the Tarkans taking control. The elite Tarkan upgrade coming in right at the end there, actually. 8 pierce armor is very nice, to say the least. And yeah, BacT there having a rough time. But it's really hard to dissect this game. It's really hard to look at this game and say, well, why? Where did it go wrong? Because there is so much going on all the time. But I'll do my best. What I think, I'll do the Nilpford voice. So, guys, what I think that happened... It's not actually the Nilpford voice. I don't actually have a Nilpford voice, but I'll pretend to do the Nilpford analysis. What I think happened there was BacT, maybe, you know, this commitment with the 2 ranges and the Siege Workshop. It was preemptively stopped by this wall-off. He invested quite a lot of resources into that. Meanwhile, TaToH had his second TC at the edge of the map, whereas BacT built his in the center a little bit later. And the third TC also from TaToH came up quite a lot later than third TC from BacT also came up quite a lot later than TaToH's. So TaToH was able to build his economy up a lot faster, and we saw the number of farms that TaToH had. He was definitely raking in the food. Larger economy wins games. It's as simple as that, but obviously not quite as simple as that. BacT, with the early commitment here, I don't think he traded too favorably. He lost all of his mangonels. He lost a lot of his push. And by the time that BacT actually got to fighting with his cavalry archers up in the north, TaToH already outnumbered him with these 2 ranges on the left-hand side. He was able to reinforce a lot faster than BacT, since BacT was sending his units all the way around, counterclockwise around this ring. And then, of course, we got to the point where both players had reached Imperial, and TaToH already had the castle defense prepared. He was already making trebs as soon as he hit the Imperial Age as well. And the Tarkans were the icing on the cake, the cherry on the top, the beef to the bun, as they clearly were very effective there. They were able to take down the trebuchets with no problem, and they were able to raid very effectively on the farms of BacT as well. So take a quick look at the achievements. Military killed, 106 for TaToH versus 72 lost, and TaToH had a much larger army as well. Economy-wise, it was TaToH's across the board. As expected with the food, though, he had 50% more food collected. That is a lot of additional food, and as a result, a lot of additional villagers, with 25 additional villagers for TaToH there. He even took the time to gather 2 relics as well for a bit of gold boost in the end. So there you go. That's the timeline, if anyone's interested. So I'll put the point on the board for... Oh, that's the Escape Gaming animation. I like it. I guess I'll leave it on. And I'll put the point on the board here for TaToH as he gets the first game victory. As I said, though, this is a best of... It's not a best of 5. I've said this so many times, and I keep saying every time, it's not actually a best of 5. So yeah, it's not best of 5. It's just 5 games, straight up 5 games. I keep saying it wrong, but yeah.